budget-friendly shoe brand Payless.
The experiment making headlines by the chain Payless Shoes.
By opening up a fake pop-up store called Aleksey.
We built a fake luxury store in Los Angeles and filled it with Payless shoes. The guests at our grand opening party had no idea.
Let's go back to 2018 in the heart of Santa Monica, a west coastal city a few miles west from downtown Los Angeles. A new luxury store had opened its doors for the very first time. Eager-eyed influencers and fashion experts swarmed the venue, with designers queuing up, all to see what this special store had to offer. Aleksey, a brand new luxury store, sells designer shoes, heels and accessories from $200 to up to $600. And all the people that attended, they loved it. And they all acknowledged the bright future that this brand had.
Elegant, sophisticated.
I just think it's so classy.
And I could tell it was made with high quality material.
But there was a twist. When you think of a designer fashion brand, you might think of Dior, Louis Vuitton or Chanel. And sometimes we ask ourselves, how are they able to charge so much for such a simple product with a little logo on it? You see, what happened at Aleksey would shock the guests and shock the world, and proved a very powerful lesson in how perception rules us today. It would also teach us to learn the power of reinventing ourselves and making ourselves look much better as we go around in our daily lives. It turns out that this mysterious brand called Aleksey was not real. Payless had invited around 80 different guests, ranging from influencers to fashion experts, all to their pop-up store in California. All the shoes and items were originally sold by Payless. The only difference is they now slapped on a new name, Aleksey, and they increased the price of all their products by almost 1,800%. Items that used to sell for as low as $20 or $40 were now being charged as high as $600. And when they significantly raised the price, the results were shocking, as people still believed that these products were really worth that price, despite its original being very cheap. The store was so successful that in the space of 2 nights, they had made $3,000. And this was all due to how they changed the customer's perception of the products they had to offer. I mean, instead of using a basic retail space, what they did was extraordinary. They revitalized a former Armani store and decorated it with sleek gold statues and brand new structures. They added a shiny new red carpet in some parts of the store. They also had the shiny marble floors, which were clean to make the place feel very fresh and high value. And had they not revealed the idea, they could have begun a brand new, very profitable business. And this is not the only example of where companies and people have radically played on the human's perceptions. There was another similar event where this happened, but this time it was with food. We go over to the Netherlands to find out more about this. In another experiment, 2 pranksters set out to fool food critics by disguising McDonald's food as gourmet snacks. They sliced up burgers, muffins, added toothpicks, and presented them on fancy trays. They even dressed up in nice and neat, clean suits and offered the food to various food experts. The critics were blown away. The comments ranged from, if it were wine, I'd say it's rich, to others complimenting how fresh it tastes. We all know how McDonald's tastes, and I'm sure the food critics have all had their fair share of a McFlurry or McChicken sandwich. But somehow, with this new look and the presentation, the toothpicks, they somehow felt that this was a completely different brand. In fact, it was a shock to many of them to discover that what they were eating was not an organic alternative to fast food, but was just regular McDonald's. Once again, it wasn't about the products or the type of shoe, it was all about the perception. Reinventing yourself is not just about faking it till you make it. It's about changing the perception that you have about yourself, and also the perception that others have about you. And it has a lot of benefits. As we've seen in these examples, people are generally more supportive when they feel like you carry yourself in a certain type of way. They're more likely to give you the results you want, whether that be more sales, more business opportunities, better job prospects, or just being generally nicer to you. In the Payless experiment, it was about sales and profit. For the McDonald's prank, it was all about it being organic and healthy. If you learn how to change your perception and make sure that people see you in a certain light, there are countless opportunities that will come your way. And it all takes just a few small adjustments to how you think, act and carry yourself. You see, it was more than just the shoes or the product. It was the strategic presentation of the value that they had that made the difference. Let's look back to the McDonald's example. You see, they didn't just throw the fast food onto a plate and then say, hey, this is some healthy food, try it out. They sliced it up, they dressed it up, they elevated the way that it looks. They made it look completely different despite not changing a single ingredient. Unless you were told, it was virtually unrecognizable from your usual McDonald's meal. But yet nothing had changed. They hadn't added a secret recipe, they hadn't cooked it or microwaved it. All they did was change the way it was presented. For Palessi, it wasn't about the expensive shoes. It was about an expensive looking environment. For you, your environment might be the place that you work at, the town you live, the city you live, the friends you hang around, the content you watch, and the people you let influence you. They all play a part in what we call your environment. And I think Virgil Abloh said it best. He said,
if I put this candle in an all-white gallery space, it looks like a piece of art. If I put it on in a garage, it looks like a piece of trash. I often use this analogy in design. I could either design the candle and spend a lot of time telling you about the candle, or I could just design the room that it sits in.
To reinvent yourself, you might have to leave the area that you grew up in. You might have to leave and move away from things that have made up your environment in order to find a place where you can really flourish. You have to ask yourself, is this current environment allowing me to reach my full potential? Sometimes the people around you aren't the problem. It might just be that the opportunities aren't really available wherever you are. And you have to decide now, or you risk staying the same. In the Palessi example, they didn't just use a plain store as their environment, they used a former luxury store as their new venue. And what they did with that was that they had changed their image. So when looking for ways to reinvent yourself, you first have to find a role model or take different snippets of inspiration from those who has the life that you want. Palessi didn't just get a regular store, as I previously mentioned, but what they did was they built off a previous example. An Armani store was very much a proven example of what they wanted. That's why they took it as their store. And you have to do something else like that in your life. Take a previous example of someone you've seen doing the things that you want and replicate it, adjust it, and turn it into something that you like. It might be as simple as just changing your posture, or the way that you speak, or your haircut, or finding some better fitting clothes. Reinventing yourself is all about taking over the creative direction of your life. You have to put yourself as the main character and rewrite your story. And if you don't like the current chapter you're in, then why not flip the script? But in order to do this, it's not simple. You might need to update some things. And I'm not talking about Instagram bios, but I'm talking about your real life. How many times have you gone through your own personal life updates? I mean, some of us have had updates that weren't our choice. For example, going from a toddler to going to middle school and then going to high school. And this sad reality is that a lot of people are stuck on the same update that they had from when they left college or school. A lot of people still have the same way of thinking they had when they were 3 years younger, or 4 years younger, or even 10 years younger. Nothing has changed, and yet these same people feel left behind. The key to changing this is to update your life, and you do this by increasing the standards you set for yourself, and it requires you to readjust things that weren't working well before. Don't get stuck on an old program. Reinvent yourself and take your life in a new direction. And that's the essence of reinventing yourself. Looking at other examples of people who've done it before you and implementing it in your own life. Remember, no one needs to know that you're reinventing yourself. All you have to do is take the action and the results will come.